suddenly I had this gust of wind. It went over me. It was like it was incredible. And it just engulfed me and I was freezing cold. I had to get up quick and get out because I knew it wasn't natural. I wasn't experiencing something natural. And then I thought, hang on a minute, just calm down here. It's nothing to get frightened about. It's just what was happening here, you know. I had a guy who called Rob Polhill, which he's gone now. He was the assistant with me. And we had some experiences here. We had like, the radio would come on its own, even though we plugged it in, all the rest of it. And of course it was explained by an engineer that it could be a faulty switch, and it could have suddenly diagnosed and come on and off, which is true. Yeah, it could be, couldn't it, right? Not twice, though. And the other thing was, we actually had activity regarding one morning where we found some SDA goods that used to be here were moved. They had been moved from one part of the warehouse to the other. And when I spoke to the people here, I said, look, you're not putting a leg here, are you? I said, has anybody moved this SDA? Small boxes they were, not big boxes. And they said, no. I said, well, that is strange. I said, because everything was put away, the complete store was cleared last night, the stock came in, we offloaded the lorry, and everything was put into the store. And I said, at that time, we walked away, Rob and I, from a clean warehouse. Everything's stacked neatly, which some of the staff have heard here in the actual thing, and a presence has been felt. And they felt that when they've gone to say something to somebody, it's nobody here, you know what I mean? Like, you're quite convinced when somebody comes up, aren't you? You know,
yeah.
You can hear somebody moving. Even if it's not a clunking footstep, you hear a person rustling of clothes, don't you, or something? And you say, yeah, can I help, whatever, because that's what your job is, you see. You say, can I help you? And I had an instance in the winter where nobody was there, and as I said, Andy Kemp had it as well. He was quite startled. He said, I didn't believe it. He said, I couldn't believe it. He said, I was convinced somebody was behind me. So I questioned him about, do you think somebody upstairs? Somebody at the door? I said, no, definitely not. Quite unusual, and I thought Rob was calling me once. And I opened the door, said, Rob, what do you want? You know, like you do. And it wasn't a voice from downstairs, it was too near, it was right on top of us, you know. Otis were in here last year servicing their lift. Oh, he said, did you know somebody actually was, you know, committed suicide in the lift? I said, really? He said, oh, yeah, it's on our records. He said, he said, I can't actually tell you when, he said, but when the building was first built, or when the lift shaft was first put in, he said that we don't know the circumstances, but somebody definitely topped himself in there. And a lot of spooky areas in there, Tim, in that place where the boiler is. That's where the actual door blew open and scared Mike Jones, frightened him out of his wits, the young man I talked about earlier. And I said, well, that's locked. I said, that's locked. How can that door open? Because there's a bar, there's things on the top, you know. And he said, I don't know. He said, I don't know. And of course, it had been opened after that, because when I came in, it was like a weekend, I think it was. And this guy, you know, if you met him, you'd say, this fellow would never be spooked, because he has joined the police. And I've since seen him, and he's told me about the sights and that he's dealt with. They're pretty horrific, you know. I've always reported my strange, and then others have reported it. And I said, you guys are not just jumping on the bandwagon. And he said, no, we've had some strange feelings, strange things happen. And it's feelings some of them are felt. And that does point towards something. If you get that feeling, and it might be a sunny day, whatever, then something has alarmed you, distracted you, then something has occurred unnatural, hasn't it? You agree? And that's basically the story for you. You know, that's basically what happened. I hope that's given you an insight.
No, that's definitely a really good insight. Thanks for that. Thanks for your interview with the pigs, Tom.
Yes.